Welcome to today's video on the green card trap and the real risks of staying abroad for 6 months or more. In the next few minutes, we will clarify myths about the so-called 6-month rule, explore how Customs and Border Protection evaluates your intent to reside in the United States, and outline how to protect your lawful permanent resident status before, during, and after extended travel. Most importantly, we will walk through the re-entry permit, the only reliable safety net if your trip will exceed 6 months. Now, let's set the stage with what we'll cover and how everything connects. Here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll separate myth from reality about the 6-month rule. Next, we'll explain what CBP looks for at the port of entry and how the burden of proof can shift to you. Then, we'll identify the evidence that demonstrates continued U.S. domicile. After that, we'll detail the re-entry permit, what it is, when you need it, and how to apply. We'll also compare risk levels by travel duration, followed by 2 short quizzes. Finally, we'll wrap with a practical action plan and key takeaways. With that outline in mind, let's begin with an important disclaimer. Before we proceed, a quick but crucial disclaimer. This video provides general educational information and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Immigration outcomes depend on your specific facts, timing, and documentation. Laws and policies can change, and agency discretion plays a significant role. Therefore, if you expect to be abroad for a prolonged period, or if you have any prior complications, such as tax filings as a non-resident, extended absences, or past warnings at entry, consult a qualified immigration attorney who specializes in LPR travel and residency requirements. With that important note in place, let's move into the core myth versus reality. Let's debunk the most widespread misconception. Many people believe that as long as you return to the United States within 1 year, your green card is automatically safe. In reality, once your absence reaches 6 months or more, you immediately face heightened scrutiny at the port of entry. At that point, officers may presume you have abandoned your U.S. residence, and the burden shifts to you to demonstrate that your permanent home remains in the United States. While abandonment is often formally alleged after a year of continuous absence, the 6-month threshold is a high-risk zone. This is particularly dangerous for new permanent residents who are still building ties like bank accounts, driver's licenses, tax history, and stable housing. Even an 8-month absence, for an arguably good reason, such as completing an educational or licensure requirement abroad, can be risky without proactive steps. With this reality in mind, the next question is, what CBP evaluates when you return? This flowchart visualizes the decision path for long trips. It begins by asking whether your planned absence will exceed 180 days in total. If not, risk is lower, but you should still maintain strong evidence of domicile. If your absence will exceed 180 days, the chart asks whether it will cross 1 year. If it will exceed a year, the clear recommendation is to apply for a re-entry permit immediately. If you expect to be away between 180 and 364 days, the chart still points to applying for a re-entry permit and, at minimum, assembling robust documentation, since the burden of proof at re-entry increases sharply. The chart emphasizes that Form I-131 must be filed while you are physically in the United States, and that you must complete biometrics before leaving. It also highlights that traveling without a permit in these scenarios exposes you to significant scrutiny, whereas traveling with a permit provides a strong defense against claims of abandonment. Even with a permit, you should continue filing resident taxes and maintaining ties. Here is a practical step-by-step plan for obtaining a re-entry permit. First, confirm that you can remain in the United States long enough to file the application and complete biometrics before departure. Next, fill out Form I-131 and select the re-entry permit option, ensuring the appropriate fee is included. Prepare identity documents, such as a copy of your passport's biographic page, your green card, and compliant photographs. Consider adding a succinct cover letter explaining the purpose and anticipated length of your travel and affirming your continued U.S. residence. Then, file the application while you are physically present in the United States and watch for the receipt notice. You must attend the biometrics appointment before leaving. If the scheduled time conflicts with your travel date, reschedule it promptly through the proper channel. In urgent situations, you may request expedited processing and provide supporting documentation. Once traveling, carry your passport, your green card, and a curated packet of domicile evidence. If the physical permit will be produced while you are abroad, arrange for secure delivery in accordance with USCIS options. Throughout your absence, continue maintaining ties, such as banking, housing, and insurance, and file your U.S. tax return as a resident. To demonstrate that the United States remains your permanent home, assemble a consistent package of evidence. Start with taxes filed as a resident, not as a non-resident, and include W-2s or 1099s if applicable. Maintain active banking and investment accounts and show regular, ordinary transactions rather than dormant balances. Keep your state driver's license or identification current. Document a genuine U.S. residence, whether that is a lease, a mortgage, or a family home where you reside, supported by utilities and mail. Employment in the United States, or active enrollment and licensure steps, can be persuasive, particularly for newer residents. Finally, keep health insurance, memberships, and routine mail directed to your U.S. address. Altogether, these items build a clear picture that your life remains centered in the United States. With the evidence in mind, let's compare risk by trip length. This table summarizes how risk typically scales with the length of your absence. Stays under 6 months generally face routine to moderate scrutiny. Nevertheless, carry domicile evidence and avoid a pattern of repeated long trips. From 6 months up to just under a year, scrutiny becomes high, and the burden of proof moves to you. In this range, strong evidence is essential, and a re-entry permit is recommended. Once you cross a year of continuous absences without prior authorization, the risk becomes severe, and you may face an abandonment claim. Additionally, multiple extended trips, even if each is under 6 months, can create a cumulative pattern that suggests your primary life is elsewhere. Now, to give further context, let's contrast new and established permanent residents. New permanent residents often have limited U.S. history. They may still be opening accounts, getting a driver's license, and building tax records. Because their footprint is smaller, a long trip abroad can more easily be interpreted as a shift of domicile away from the United States. In contrast, established permanent residents tend to have longer employment and tax histories, stable housing and utilities, and deeper financial and community ties. While no one is immune from scrutiny, those with extensive U.S. ties can usually present a stronger case that an extended absence was temporary and necessary. With that comparison in mind, let's visualize a practical timeline you can follow before, during, and after your travel. This timeline breaks the journey into 3 phases. Before travel, confirm whether your trip will exceed 6 months, and if so, file Form I-131 while physically in the United States and complete biometrics. Assemble your domicile evidence and ensure your mail and bill payments continue. During travel, keep U.S. accounts active, maintain your U.S. phone and insurance, and retain receipts that show ongoing ties. Try to avoid stacking multiple long absences back to back. When you return, carry your documentation and be ready to explain your temporary purpose abroad. After you are back, continue filing your tax return as a resident, renew any expiring IDs, and reassess your future travel plans. If you encounter any issues at the port of entry, consult an immigration attorney promptly. Now, let's test your understanding with a quick quiz. Question 1. Which statement best reflects the risk of a 6 to 8 month absence for a new permanent resident? Option A. It's safe because it's under 1 year. Option B. It triggers high scrutiny. You must prove continued U.S. domicile. Option C. It is automatically protected by the green card. Option D. It never affects re-entry if you have a return ticket. You may pause the video now to consider your answer. We will discuss the correct option in the next section. The correct answer is, it triggers high scrutiny. You must prove continued U.S. domicile. Once you are away for 6 months or more, the burden shifts to you at the port of entry. New residents are at particular risk because their ties may still be developing. In this window, strong documentation and, ideally, a re-entry permit can make a decisive difference. Now that we've covered that, let's move to the second question about timing and requirements for the re-entry permit. Question 2. When must you file for a re-entry permit to protect a trip expected to exceed 6 months? Option A. Anytime, even while abroad. Option B. Only after you return to the United States. Option C. While physically in the United States, and you must complete biometrics before departure. Option D. At the airport during check-in. You may pause the video now to think about your answer. We will review the correct choice in the next section. The correct answer is, while physically in the United States, and you must complete biometrics before departure. USCIS rules require presence in the United States at filing and completion of biometrics for a valid re-entry permit. The permit typically covers up to 2 years, but you should still maintain robust evidence of domicile and continue filing resident taxes. With the quiz complete, let's consolidate the most important points you should remember. Here are the essentials. First, understand that the 6-month mark is a high-risk zone that triggers increased scrutiny. Second, if your trip might exceed 180 days, plan ahead and apply for a re-entry permit. Third, anchor your case with resident tax filings, current identification, active accounts, and documented housing. Fourth, travel with an organized packet of evidence to present at the port of entry if questioned. Fifth, avoid a pattern of repeated extended absences, as it can signal that your primary residence is outside the United States. Finally, consult an immigration attorney for personalized guidance. To bring everything together, let's summarize and give you a practical next step. To wrap up, remember that absences of 6 months or more prompt heightened scrutiny and shift the burden of proof to you. If your travel may cross that threshold, the strongest protection is a timely re-entry permit filed while in the United States, with biometrics completed before departure. Throughout your time abroad, continue to maintain and document your U.S. domicile through taxes, identification, finances, housing, and community ties. Keep your evidence organized, and be prepared to explain the temporary purpose of your absence. When uncertain, consult a qualified immigration attorney before you travel. As we close, here's a quick invitation to engage further. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, please like the video, share it with someone who is planning extended travel, and subscribe for more practical immigration content. I would love to hear your questions, scenarios, or lessons learned in the comments so others can benefit as well. Until next time, safe travels and stay prepared.